Alright, now that we have Sketchup installed, we're going to do a small project here and build just a small basic house. It's a good way to learn some of the basic tools. This is a tools menu, shows where every tool that you can possibly use is. Same basic file menu as Word and other programs like that. You have a toolbar here, which just shows the symbology. All the different tools are more easily accessible. You can use hotkeys to get them a little quicker. We'll go ahead and get rid of this. Don't need that. I'll start with my rectangle tool. It's a good way to just build a small base, the foundation for your house. You can just click once and then freely drag. I'm not holding my mouse down, it's just one click and drag around. You can see my dimensions box are changing in here. Those are real world dimensions. I'm going to second click here and you can see it filled it in with some gray. That means that there's a face that SketchUp can play with and manipulate. You can even type in these dimensions. If you watch the dimensions box, I'm just going to start typing 5 inches, comma for the by, and 4 inches. So it's a 5 by 4 inch rectangle when I hit enter. You notice it's a lot smaller. The other one's up into the feet. I'll zoom in with my mouse wheel, use my orbit tool here to orbit around. You notice I don't go straight on it, so I'm going to use the hand tool and move the camera to the side. Go back to my orbit tool. And as I was saying, hotkeys, I just hit the H key, the O key to switch between those two. The R key will then also draw my rectangles again. So SketchUp has all of those listed elsewhere, all the hotkeys for all of them. I'll hit E for my erase tool, also here. To get rid of my larger triangle, I'm just clicking and holding to get rid of all of the lines. Zoom in again, pan in, get situated. SketchUp puts a nice little environment. You have a horizon here to give you some perspective. If you're looking up or down, you have all your axes, your X, your Y, and your Z. The dotted ones being negative, so you can kind of have some algebra lessons in there. Could be useful for that. SketchUp has one-sided objects. Only one face will show up in printing. The white face is the one that should always face outside, whereas the blue face should be on the inside of your models. You can flip those. I'll show in a later video if you have problems with that. My push-pull tool here is what does all the magic in SketchUp. You notice I get a lot of dots when I hover and I click and expand, and I now have a 3D object. I also have a distance box, just like I had a dimensions box to show how high I'm going in real world. And again, I can even just type in here 3 inches, hit enter, and now I know that my cube is 3 inches tall. Great way to just kind of teach kids about measurements. If you were in a metric world, you could do all these measurements in metric also. And it even goes down to fractions. I'll use my tape measure tool here. You notice it snaps to a midpoint, tells me where the middle is. I'm on the edge there. Now I'm just on the face. An endpoint is at the end of a line. I'm going to go to my midpoint, starting on a line, and just drag down. The length box down there is now changed to a length box. And I'm putting this dotted line in with my tape measure tool 11/16 of an inch down. That line isn't actually part of the model, like what this line tool would draw. This line tool puts lines on the model itself, but the tape measure tool just puts guidelines I can use like this to hit line intersections so that I know I'm working right. But they don't stick to the model, so they don't mess with anything. Use my push and pull. You'll see I have a separate face now, and I'll just drag that off into oblivion. And it just shaves it right off, just like that. So now you can see we have the basic structure of a house. Use my erase tool again to get rid of that line. You can also come up to the tools and delete guides to get rid of all of them at once. Orbit around, just kind of see what I'm looking at. We kind of have a barn shape here. I use my rectangle tool. It's not giving me the button I need. Orbit around again. Sometimes you just have to change the perspective. Great tool for teaching kids about perspective. Get on the edge there. Draw a little door. Hit spacebar to get my select tool, select that area, it's a separate face, and hit my delete or backspace key to delete it. You can see those blue faces I was talking about earlier on the inside of the model. You can kind of see what it looks like in there. You can continue to do this, maybe draw some windows on here. Put one maybe here. Select that, select it again, delete it. Orbit around, you can see to the other side. Kind of giving you the idea of what it looks like inside a model. Just for fun, I can even draw on the opposite wall to teach students a little bit about perspective. I actually drew that on that other side. Go ahead and delete that. Now I can even see through my model, giving you a little bit more of that 3D idea of what we're really accomplishing here. The push-pull tool works well with this rectangle tool. As long as you're making separate faces, you can mess with them however you want. Make a little chimney up here and just keep expanding. As long as SketchUp has a face, or at least 3 lines connecting, you can manipulate those separately with your select tools, your push-pull tools, rotation tools, all of them. I'll use my line tool here to see if I can demonstrate with the line tool. Maybe I'll just add a little goofy shaped chimney on this side. I'll draw these lines in, connect all those, and now I have a little triangle shape chimney thing. Didn't actually stick to the house, but that's the point of it, how the line tool works. So you can see I'm going inside the model, look around. There's this really nice tool that lets you walk. I can click and drag around, and it's just like I'm walking inside the model, so that you don't have to mess with zoom or orbit and run into walls and things like that. It's kind of a nice way to set the camera. I can't really walk outside the wall. It has collision detection, so if I had tables and stuff in here, I would technically bump into them. Walk out this door here. My orbit tool probably, I'm pretty far away now. It kind of throws off your pivots sometimes. And zoom back in to look at that. My mouse wheel. And so those are the basics. We have a basic house now. Really fun way to show kids how easy it is to get a 3D shape. This shape actually wouldn't print. If you notice when I look at the side here, there's only one line here. If we wanted to do this right, we'd almost have to frame it up almost like a real house. You'd have to have 2 frames in there. I'll explain a little bit more about one-sided objects in a more advanced video. But this will work in SketchUp land, but this wouldn't print in a 3D printer. But that's SketchUp, and we'll go to the next lesson.